Remember that time when cars were real? When steel outweighed plastic and a well-built engine could last a lifetime? In this video, we're going to relive the most reliable and indestructible American cars of the 1960s. True classic machines that are still rolling today as if time itself had stood still. We're not talking about pretty cars here. We're talking about mechanical legends, vehicles with soul, with history that could take you from point A to point B and far beyond without ever letting you down. So if you're a lover of classic American cars, of eternal engines, of simple mechanics that never leave you stranded, this video is made for you. And before we get started, I invite you to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Because here, we don't just talk about cars. We talk about what they meant in our lives. And believe me, what comes next will make you feel the smell of gasoline and the creak of old leather. Let's go. 1961 to 1966, AMC Rambler Classic. There was a time when American car makers faced a new type of challenge. The quiet but firm arrival of Japanese cars, with their reputation for efficiency, economy, and above all, reliability. And while many in Detroit looked the other way, American Motors Corporation decided to face it head-on. The answer? The Rambler Classic. Between 1961 and 1966, the Rambler became one of the best-kept secrets of American roads. It wasn't the most powerful, nor the most luxurious, nor the flashiest, but it had something that drivers were beginning to value more and more: pure toughness. It was a car that didn't ask for much, but gave a lot. A machine built to last, to cover miles without complaining, to be faithful in the cold, in the heat, in the city, or on the highway. Its design, compared to other models of the time, was understated, but therein lay part of its genius. By avoiding aesthetic excess, AMC focused all its efforts on mechanics and structure. Under the hood, the Rambler could be equipped with inline-six engines or even V8s, depending on the year and version. All of them were built with a kind of simplicity that meant reliability. There were no fragile components, no unnecessarily complicated systems. It was honest engineering, direct and unadorned. What won the hearts of both mechanics and drivers was how easy it was to maintain: accessible parts, straightforward design, and durable materials. It was the kind of car you could fix yourself in your home garage, and with that came a unique bond: absolute trust in your car. It's no exaggeration to say that the Rambler won awards for reliability, including those from Consumer Reports, which year after year ranked it among the safest and toughest options on the market. One curious fact that perfectly sums up what this car was: for several years, government fleets and companies chose it as their service vehicle, not for image, not for prestige, but because they knew it wouldn't break down. In a time when the economy was beginning to demand smarter decisions, the Rambler became the silent ally of thousands of American workers and families. And there's something else you can't measure with numbers: that sense of peace you get from knowing your car will start every morning, that it won't leave you stranded, that you can trust it without hesitation. 1960 to 1969. Buick LeSabre. When you think of a big, comfortable, and durable car from the 1960s, the LeSabre looms like an imposing figure in the rearview mirror of memory. This wasn't just any automobile. It was a statement of intent. A car that said, "I want space, I want strength, and I want it to last me a lifetime." Built between 1960 and 1969, it represented everything Buick did best: powerful engines, spacious interiors, and construction as solid as a tank. But what really turned it into a legend was its mechanical reliability. Equipped with Buick's famous V8 engines, this car could rack up hundreds of thousands of miles with little more than clean oil and a bit of care. In fact, people used to joke that the only thing you could break in a LeSabre was the ashtray, from using it too much. At the heart of the LeSabre was its nailhead V8, an engine with torque to spare, perfect for moving that heavy body with elegance and without effort. It wasn't a sports car. It wasn't built for speed. It was built for endurance. And it delivered. The smoothness with which these cars cruised down the highway was only matched by their toughness. It was, quite literally, a living room on wheels that you could drive to the ends of the earth without fear of failure. And when it came to comfort, it had few rivals. The seats were so wide and cushy, they felt like living room chairs. The sound insulation was excellent for its time, and the suspension soaked up bumps as if they were mere ripples in the pavement. Riding in a LeSabre wasn't just traveling from one point to another. It was an experience, a family ritual, a moment of connection with the road. Here's an interesting fact. The LeSabre was, for years, one of the favorite cars of newlyweds, large families, and retirees. Why? Because it offered peace of mind, and that is one of the purest forms of luxury. On top of that, its elegant yet discreet design made it look refined without being ostentatious. And now I ask you, watching this video, did you ever own a Buick LeSabre or know someone who drove one? Do you remember what it felt like to travel in one? Share your story with us in the comments. 1960 to 1966 Chevrolet CK Series. If we're talking about truly indestructible vehicles of the 1960s, it's impossible not to mention the CK Series. These trucks were more than just work tools. They were symbols of endurance, of hard work, of absolute trust. From the most remote farms to military bases, from workshops to unpaved roads, for years, the CK was the silent engine of America. Introduced in 1960, this series marked a turning point in truck design. For the first time, Chevrolet applied a more modern architecture with independent front suspension and a driver-friendly focus, without sacrificing an ounce of durability. It was a machine built with the mentality of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that philosophy paid off. It could be equipped with the dependable straight-six engines of 250 or 292 cubic inches, or small block V8s like the 283 or the 327. Simple, accessible engines, easy to repair, and with a lifespan so long that many never even needed a full rebuild. Some owners claimed the hardest part wasn't keeping the truck running, it was finding an excuse to retire it. The CK was quickly adopted by farmers, logistics companies, contractors, and even the U.S. military, which speaks volumes about its reputation. Its chassis was so solid it could haul more than the manual listed without complaint, and even at maximum load, it held steady. No creaks, no imbalance, no drama. But the most incredible thing about these trucks was the bond they created with their drivers. They weren't just work vehicles. They became part of the family. They were given names, trusted with secrets, passed down from generation to generation. And while their design was functional, almost Spartan, it carried a powerful aesthetic. Square, firm, dependable, a declaration of strength without the need to shout. Here's a curious fact. Many of these CK trucks were modified by their owners for specific tasks. Some became tow trucks, others campers, and many turned into true local legends known by entire communities for still running decade after decade. That kind of adaptability and resilience isn't common, it's special. And if today you see one of these trucks still in service, maybe rusty with faded paint but still standing firm, believe me, you're looking at a living legend. A machine that didn't just withstand the passage of time, but challenged it head-on, mile after mile. 1960 to 1969, Plymouth Valiant. In an era dominated by big V8s, extravagant designs, and endless body lines, there was one car that chose a different path. A humbler path, but also a more reliable one. The Valiant, built between 1960 and 1969, was one of those cars that didn't make much noise, but earned respect every time it started up. Because, yes, this car started every single day. No matter the weather, the mileage, or the driver's mood. The Valiant was Chrysler's bet to offer a compact, economical, and functional car in a decade when efficiency was beginning to matter just as much as power. And although many underestimated it at first, over time, it earned a reputation that today places it among the most reliable cars ever built in the United States. Its greatest secret? The legendary slant 6 engine, tilted 30 degrees to lower the center of gravity and allow for a lower, more aerodynamic engine bay. This engine was a true piece of engineering brilliance, tough, easy to maintain, with surprising torque for its displacement and a longevity that bordered on the absurd. There were slant 6 engines that surpassed 300,000 miles without ever being opened and kept running as if nothing had happened. But the Valiant wasn't just tough under the hood. Its overall construction was simple, solid, and unpretentious. It had exactly what was needed, nothing more. And that made it almost immortal. No fragile electronics to fail, no delicate luxuries, no ornaments to hide its purpose. The Valiant was an urban warrior, a car designed for daily use, for families who needed reliability before style. Its suspension was surprisingly comfortable for a car of its size. The cabin, though compact, was well utilized, and its maintenance was so simple that many owners learned to do their own repairs at home. Filters, belts, spark plugs, everything was within reach. Everything spoke of a direct relationship between driver and machine. And when it comes to legacy, the Valiant has one. Many taxi drivers chose it for its low fuel consumption and high durability. It was also sold outside the United States in demanding markets like South America and Australia, where it became synonymous with reliability. In fact, in several countries, the Valiant continued running actively well into the 1990s. It didn't have the elegance of a Buick, nor the muscle of a Mustang, but it had something that few cars can boast: the certainty that it would always be there every day, doing its job without asking for anything in return. A car that, without seeking it, ended up becoming a legend. 1963 to 1969, Dodge Dart. Some cars are born to impress, others simply to last. And the Dart, especially between 1963 and 1969, belongs to that second group. But with a twist, it did it so well that it ended up impressing anyway. In a decade where cars were becoming more complex, the Dart was America's answer for those who wanted reliability without compromises, without gimmicks, without empty promises. Mechanically, it was a rock. Its 225 cubic inch slant 6 engine became a legend in its own right. Simple, durable, and with a slightly tilted design that improved cooling and weight distribution. But what really made it eternal was its ability to take punishment. We're talking about an engine that could go years without internal work, running every day with minimal maintenance. It wasn't uncommon to hear stories of engines surpassing 250,000 miles without being opened and still starting on the very first try. The Dodge Dart wasn't just about the engine. Its overall structure was strong, with a front suspension designed to withstand rough roads and a straightforward manual steering system. The interior, though modest, offered everything necessary for safe and comfortable travel. It was a car built with logic, with purpose. Every piece was where it needed to be, without unnecessary decoration. Everything followed a clear idea. This car was built to last, and last it did. For years, it was the favorite of teachers, mail carriers, police officers, and families who simply wanted a dependable car. They weren't looking for luxury, they were looking for peace of mind, to know they wouldn't be stranded on the road, that the engine wouldn't overheat on a climb, that the brakes wouldn't fail in a sudden downpour. One anecdote that shows its reputation: in many small American towns, when someone asked a mechanic what car to buy to avoid problems, the answer was almost automatic: get a Dart. And that, in a country overflowing with choices, said a lot. Aesthetically, it was discreet. Straight lines, balanced proportions, nothing excessive. But that sobriety hid a mechanical fierceness few cars could match. The Dart was like that friend who's never late, who's always there when you need them, who won't let you down even if the world falls apart. And you, did your family ever have a Dart? Did you drive one? Or maybe you still have one tucked away, waiting to roll back to life? Tell us your story in the comments. 1961 to 1966. Ford, F-100. In the 1960s, if there was one vehicle that truly represented the spirit of American hard work, it was without a doubt the F-100. More than just a pickup truck, it was a trusted tool, a loyal companion that never rested, never asked for mercy, and seemed built with a single purpose of enduring everything. Between 1961 and 1966, the F-100 was Ford's flagship in the fiercely competitive truck market. But while other brands bet on raw power or flashy design, Ford went for something simpler and deeper: unbreakable reliability. And they nailed it. This pickup was the favorite of farmers, ranchers, laborers, small business owners, and even public officials. Why? Because it didn't break, it didn't quit, it didn't stop. Its mechanical lineup included inline-six options like the tough 223 cubic inches, as well as V8s such as the 292 and 352 cubic inches, which struck the perfect balance between power and durability. These were engines you could abuse, overload, leave sitting for weeks, and still they'd start. They didn't need electronics, sensors, or sophisticated care, just clean oil and a bit of respect. And when it came to the chassis, the F-100 was literally built like a war machine. Its frame was so strong that over the years, many were converted into tow trucks, campers, rural ambulances, or even light military vehicles. It could take anything: dirt, mud, broken pavement, unbalanced loads. Nothing stopped it. Even the body panels were thick, heavy, built to last for decades without warping, but there was something more to it: a presence, a personality. The F-100 wasn't just useful, it was loved. Many times it was the first vehicle in the family, the one that took the kids to school, hauled the harvest, or served as shelter in a storm. It was more than a machine, it was part of the emotional landscape of an entire generation. Throughout its production years, the F-100 also kept evolving. Improvements in suspension, brakes, and steering made it increasingly driver-friendly without sacrificing its ruggedness. And despite its simplicity, it had a design that aged with dignity. Square lines, robust proportions, a grille that seemed to say, "Here I am, ready for whatever comes next." 1965 to 1969. Chevrolet Impala. When we talk about cars that defined an era, the name Impala inevitably comes up. And it's no coincidence. Between 1965 and 1969, this model not only became one of the best-selling cars in U.S. history, but also a true icon of trust and mechanical durability. A car that had it all: presence, space, comfort, and mechanics as simple as they were indestructible. The Impala was designed to cross America from coast to coast. No excuses, no complaints, no need to stop except to refuel. Its wide body, with long and elegant lines, hid a toughness rarely associated with design. But it was there. Under its hood, Chevrolet offered engines like the reliable 283 or 327 cubic inch V8s, and later, the mighty 396. All built with sturdy materials and architecture meant to last. That reliability translated into a serene driving experience. The Impala glided down the highway like an ocean liner on asphalt. Its suspension soaked up imperfections, its steering responded smoothly, and its engine, even at high speeds, sounded more like confidence than strain. It was the perfect car to cross entire states for family road trips, or simply to enjoy the road with the certainty that nothing would fail. Beyond the technical, the Impala won hearts by how it integrated into daily life. It was the car of big families, newlyweds, and young people dreaming of independence. Its trunk felt endless. Its interior was practically a living room on wheels, and its balanced styling made it just as fitting for a wedding as for a move. It was the car for everything and everyone. Fleet operators chose it for its reliability. Local governments added it to their service fleets. Even police departments in several cities used it for its toughness and speed. And all of this happened while, in parallel, the Impala also became a cultural symbol, appearing in movies, TV shows, and even songs. A car that didn't just move people, it moved stories, emotions, unforgettable moments. One interesting detail is that the Impala was a pioneer in combining accessible design with features normally reserved for luxury cars. Chrome accents, well-finished panels, options like automatic transmission or power steering. It was a car that offered more than its price suggested, and that in any era is a huge achievement. And so, with the unforgettable Chevrolet Impala, we close this list of true titans of reliability. Each of these cars didn't just withstand the passage of time, they faced it with pride, with steel, and with miles upon miles of history. But now, there's something you also need to share. Which of these cars touched your heart? Which one did you own, drive, or still dream of keeping safe in your garage? We want to read your story. Don't leave without dropping a comment, because here it's not just about engines, it's about moments, about memory, about everything these classic cars marked in our lives. And if this video made you travel back in time, you can't miss the first part of this series where we revisit the most reliable cars of the 1950s. Believe me, you'll be surprised to see which models could still start up today as if it were yesterday. See you there.